Since Saturday morning, Israel has been experiencing an unprecedented wave of attacks by Hamas. The scale and intensity of these attacks have left the nation and the world stunned. The attacks have not only been numerous, but also highly coordinated, indicating a level of planning and execution that has alarmed Israeli defense forces. The surprise attack. The recent surprise attack orchestrated by Hamas militants on Israel was not just another episode in the ongoing conflict. It was a meticulously planned and coordinated assault that took place during a major Jewish holiday. The timing was no coincidence. It was a calculated move designed to catch Israel at its most vulnerable, when the nation's guard was down due to the festivities. The impact of this surprise attack was devastating, leading to a significant loss of life and widespread chaos. The Israeli military, usually known for its preparedness, was caught off guard, highlighting the effectiveness of the militants' planning and the element of surprise. This lapse in readiness has raised questions about the Israeli intelligence community's ability to anticipate such well-coordinated attacks, especially on significant religious or national holidays. The gravity of the situation was underscored by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's immediate declaration of a state of war with Hamas. This is a drastic measure that signifies the severity of the attack and its implications for the ongoing conflict. It also indicates that Israel is likely to respond with increased military action, raising concerns about the escalation of violence and the potential for even greater loss of life. The unprecedented magnitude of the assault. The sheer scope and complexity of this recent assault are unparalleled in recent history, marking a significant escalation in the conflict. Unlike typical skirmishes that are often confined to specific areas, this attack saw militants infiltrating an astonishing 22 different locations, some of which were situated as far as 15 miles away from the Gaza Strip border. This expansive geographical reach indicates a level of planning and coordination that has not been witnessed before. Not only did the scale of the attack extend geographically, but it also broadened in terms of its targets. Both civilians and military personnel were subjected to the violence, resulting in intense and prolonged gunfights that continued deep into the night. The indiscriminate targeting of civilians adds a layer of complexity and urgency to the situation, raising questions about the motives and capabilities of the militants involved. The duration of the gun battles also sets this attack apart. Rather than quick hit-and-run tactics often employed in guerrilla warfare, the militants engaged in sustained combat, suggesting they were well prepared and possibly well supplied for a protracted engagement. This multifaceted and far-reaching attack has not only heightened tensions, but also raised serious concerns about future security measures. It serves as a grim reminder that the situation is volatile and that the stakes are incredibly high for all parties involved. The human toll. The human toll exacted by these recent attacks is nothing short of staggering, painting a grim picture of the devastating impact of the conflict on both sides. In Israel alone, reports suggest that at least 250 people have lost their lives, with another 1,500 sustaining injuries. These aren't just numbers. They represent fathers, mothers, children, and friends whose lives have been irrevocably altered or cut short. On the other side, in Gaza, the situation is equally dire. Retaliatory strikes by Israel have resulted in at least 232 deaths and approximately 1,700 wounded. The scale of the casualties indicates that the conflict is not limited to military targets, but is affecting civilians as well, exacerbating the humanitarian crisis in the region. Adding another layer of complexity and anguish to the situation are the reports of an unknown number of abductions. These kidnappings serve to further escalate tensions and sow seeds of mistrust, making any form of negotiation or peace talks increasingly challenging. The abductions also raise concerns about the safety and well-being of those taken, adding another dimension of human suffering to an already fraught situation. The cumulative impact of the deaths, injuries, and abductions is immense, affecting thousands of families and communities. The psychological toll is also significant, as people live in constant fear and uncertainty, not knowing when or where the next attack might occur. This devastating human toll calls for urgent international intervention and humanitarian aid. It also raises ethical and moral questions about the conduct of warfare and the urgent need for a peaceful resolution to a conflict that has already claimed too many lives. International and domestic reactions. The recent wave of attacks and the ensuing conflict have elicited a range of reactions both internationally and domestically, highlighting the complexities and divisions that characterize the situation. International reactions. Globally, the response has been sharply divided, reflecting the polarized nature of international politics when it comes to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. While some countries and international organizations have unequivocally condemned the attacks, calling for an immediate ceasefire and a return to peace talks, others have celebrated them as acts of resistance. This divergence in opinion complicates diplomatic efforts to bring about a resolution and further entrenches existing alliances and animosities. The divided international stance also has implications for humanitarian aid, peacekeeping initiatives, and potential sanctions. Countries that condemn the attacks are more likely to support Israel in international forums, whereas those celebrating the attacks may offer political or even material support to Palestinian factions. This polarization hampers the efforts of neutral bodies like the United Nations to mediate and bring about a peaceful resolution. Domestic reactions. Within Israel, the situation has had a somewhat unifying effect on political factions, at least temporarily. The severity of the attacks and the subsequent declaration of a state of war have led to a rallying effect, uniting various political groups in their support for strong military action. However, this unity is likely fragile and could be tested as the conflict progresses and the human toll rises. Conversely, among Palestinians, the ongoing conflict has led to a sense of despair and frustration, exacerbated by the continuing occupation and blockade. While some may view the attacks as a form of resistance, the retaliatory actions by Israel and the resulting loss of life and infrastructure only deepen the sense of hopelessness. In summary, the international and domestic reactions to the recent attacks reveal a world sharply divided on the issue, complicating efforts to find a peaceful and lasting solution. Domestically, the crisis has had a unifying effect in Israel, but has deepened despair among Palestinians, making the path to peace even more challenging to navigate. The uncertain future, what lies ahead in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict? As the dust settles on the recent wave of attacks and counterattacks, the question on everyone's mind is, what lies ahead? Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's vow to use all of Israel's strength to dismantle Hamas capabilities is a clear indication that the conflict is far from reaching a resolution. This strong stance suggests that Israel is prepared to escalate its military actions, potentially leading to a protracted and devastating conflict. Netanyahu's declaration is not just a message to Hamas, but also a signal to the international community. It implies that Israel is willing to go to great lengths to secure its borders and citizens, even if that means facing international criticism and potential diplomatic repercussions. The Prime Minister's statement also serves as a rallying cry for the Israeli populace and its allies, reinforcing the notion that the country is united in its resolve to counteract the threats it faces. However, this aggressive posture raises several concerns. First, an escalation in military action is likely to result in a higher number of casualties on both sides, exacerbating the already dire humanitarian situation. Second, it could further isolate Israel on the global stage, as nations and international bodies may view the actions as disproportionate. Third, A full-scale assault on Hamas could destabilize the region further, inviting intervention from other countries and possibly leading to a broader conflict. As the world watches closely, several key factors will shape the events that unfold. International diplomacy. Will there be effective diplomatic intervention to broker a ceasefire, or, at the very least, to mitigate the scale of the conflict? Humanitarian aid. How will the international community respond to the escalating humanitarian crisis, and will aid reach those who need it most? Public opinion. How will domestic and international public opinion shape the actions of the key players involved? Regional players. Will neighboring countries or other significant powers in the region intervene? And if so, how will that impact the conflict's trajectory? In summary, the path ahead is fraught with uncertainty and potential danger. Netanyahu's vow to destroy Hamas capabilities sets the stage for a possibly extended and escalated conflict, the repercussions of which could be felt far beyond the borders of Israel and Palestine. As events continue to unfold, the world remains on tenterhooks, hoping for a resolution, but preparing for the possibility of a prolonged struggle. This is a rapidly developing story with far-reaching implications. We will continue to provide updates as more information becomes available. Thank you for joining us today.